July 2025. The astrology of this month is intense but exciting. It's like fire starter energy in a good way, as Uranus, for the first time in over 84 years, enters into the sign of Gemini, activates the fire of Neptune and Uranus and Saturn in the sign of Aries. This combination flows in a sextile, and it can jumpstart something in your life that might be stuck and needs a new, fresh breath of lightning, excitement, creativity, ingenuity, and a spark of some sort. Now, of course, when things spark up with Uranus, who's like the lightning bolts, and he's working with the fire sign from the air sign, we could see some thunderbolts and some lightning in the world events as well. You know, that old song, thunder, lightning. Well, the way this sky looks is frightening, a little bit frightening, but not the worst sky I've seen. It was much more difficult last month with the Mars-Uranus square, and could be difficult in the first week of August with a Saturn-Mars square, but we're kind of like in this kind of turbulent, difficult, but positive, but unknown, exciting time. I also think we're going to see more of those old UFO sightings coming back in the month of July and in the month of August, but we'll see. It has to do with Uranus moving into the sign of Gemini. So I'm going to talk about the world events first and then your sign. So if you're ready for that, let's get going. Just know that this is not my all signs content for your month of July. You have a 30-minute video just for your sign that dropped about a week before you, or two before you got this video. I'll put a link to that playlist in my description box and on my pinned comments so that you can go watch an in-depth, bit by bit, week by week breakdown for your sign and what to expect. In the meantime, today I'm going to talk for your sign about how it feels to have this Uranian energy activating the fire starter of a retrograde Saturn and a Neptune, and what it might mean for you. I'll focus specifically on that, and I'm going to kind of channel a vibe for you. I'm going to kind of take a little bit of a different perspective on the all signs, just kind of give you a global view of what it feels like to be you in this month and what you might do with that energy, rather than tell you about why I'm doing it astrologically, which I do in most of my content. So when we go into the all signs, know that you're getting kind of a guidance advice energetic here, rather than me just delineating what happens. Now, I will say that if you're welcome to be here, by the way, if you're new, welcome to my channel. And my name is Lori Lothy, and I'm using Western Tropical Zodiac. I use ancient timing tools and techniques from Hellenistic astrology, and the fixed stars and minor asteroids are always the devil is in the details, and allow me to make very refined predictions, such as I did with the funeral death of the Pope using an asteroid for funerals called Requiem. And so if you like that kind of precision guidance for your sign and for the world, then you're in the right place. If you're new here as well, you might not know how to listen today. Sun, moon, rising, where do you start? Let me share. If you're listening for your sun sign, it can often connect to matters more functionally about career and purpose, whereas the moon sign will often lead you back to matters to do with home and real estate and property and private life. In fact, I always share how eclipses to my moon have always moved my home. So a moon represents home. And then we move into your rising. It's everything about you. It's your character in this simulation. We are in a matrix-like environment. Our souls are somewhere else. And so your character is your body, your rising sign is your simulation body, disposition, and transits to that part of your sky can often look simply like circumstantial changes that are quite precise. So when you listen for your sun sign and you think it doesn't work, listen for your rising as well. If you don't know how to cast your chart to find your rising sign, I have a free video tutorial. As long as you have your time of birth and place of birth, look in my description box below. Take my free tutorial on how to cast your chart in whole sign houses, the ancient house system. Independent of that, it allows you to find your rising sign. Now let's get started. So some of you know that I do this thing called recapping my month before video content to see what I got right and maybe what I got wrong. What I got right was the situation with Israel and Iran and eventually United States. I specifically start at around 21.5 minutes and go for about 5 minutes on last month overview video. And the things that I said were shock and awe, reminds me of the Cuban Missile Crisis, will involve Trump, Iran, maybe Vance, conflicts, urgency, wars that escalate. And I said the dark side of Mars, including people who professionally unalive people. The word starts with A, SAS, blah, blah, blah. Now, when that was recorded was like a month before June 13th to the 16th. And unfortunately, what happened was exactly that. You may remember that it was eerily and uncannily, and I'm saying uncannily accurate. So in my video, I particularly timestamp all of my content, and I said on June 13th to the 16th, here are the predictions from Mars and Leo in a square to Uranus and Taurus. And as I said, I outlined that, but you might not remember. Maybe you don't remember what exactly happened on June the 13th, and I'm about to remind you of that because it has that quality of being extremely accurate and almost uncanny. So on 3 a.m. on June 13th, Israel did target locations across Iran, including the nuclear facilities, missile silos, and missile sites and military bases. And several of Iran's top officers and nuclear scientists were killed in the airstrikes. Well, they were actually unalived by the decapitation machine that Israel is, in which one of their military strategies is to decapitate people, take them out of power by unaliving them, heads of state, scientists, etc. That operation, of course, was by Mossad, and that it is all about what was going on then, and I nailed that. I also suggested there will be an increase of good economic news as the month progressed, and as we are ending up this last month of June, there's good news in the sense that Trump has, I'm recording on June 27th, signed a trade deal with China, including for rare metals or precious rare metals. But also there has been an upcrease or upswing in the stock markets and a consensus that the trade wars have not seriously damaged the United States economy by economists. Whether you think that's true or not is irrelevant. I'm just telling you about the news headlines. And so even in the title of my video, I said economic good news. It looks like the American market had a rebound. War always seems to bring the stock market up. And although on June the 27th, it's had a bobble, it's because of the tariff war between Canada and the digital tax war between Canada and the United States being called off negotiations have destabilized the markets a bit, but all said and done, stocks are gaining as the month has gone into the second half. And I thought the economic news would be more on the positive side by the end of June. Enough touting myself. There were other things I'm pretty sure I got right, but I'm not going to spend time going back in time. If you want to hear exactly what I said, go to around the 21.5-minute mark. It's timestamped in June's overview video, where I talk extensively about what was to come, which is this escalation of the Iran crisis. Now, with the United States and everything I mentioned seemed to have happened. Let's move on. Let's go ahead and talk about the next story. What I want you to know is this. I'm going to show you a picture of the month ahead. And what I want you to do, I really do, is I want you to look at it and take a screenshot. And by the way, some of you know I teach my Sky Reader class, and that class is coming out in September, October for 6 weeks. And so if you want to join me to time your best life and be your own astrologer, you want to get on the wait list because you're going to get a very large discount price that nobody else is going to get. And the description box below is the link to the early bird discount notification email. That way, you know when we open up the enrollment cart, you get that discount code, and you'll be sure not to miss the enrollment, which I think I'm going to open up the enrollment cart at the end or end of July for our starting in September. So stay tuned for that. I'm excited about that. And my all signs videos for 2025 are now half price. Those are individual videos and individual for your sign or for all signs bundle, half price, blow by blow, quarter by quarter, descriptions of $225, and it's $33 to $22 for your sign or for the bundle. Check it out below. All right. So I'm going to show you this chart, and I want you to take a screenshot if you don't mind. But before I do that, I don't want to be too promo-y here, but this is Coppertist Wu. These are his earrings, like snakes, right? But this is something called the Tarot Pendulum Pendant. And I love this. And of course, I have much more jewelry by Coppertist Wu than this particular items that I'm showing with you, but I have a discount code. I'm sharing his jewelry because I think he's brilliant. And this is funny. You do tarot readings on the fly. This thing is like spins like a wheel. Okay. And then you can get an answer. So I spun the wheel. I got upside down. I got the upside down chariot. My question today on this beautiful piece of art, and I have it on a long pendant so I can take it off and like use it in a restaurant or whatever. Playfully pulling one of 22 major arcana by spinning this wheel and letting gravitation tell me where it lands. I got the Chariot reverse today. The Chariot reverse. Seriously, because that's, I said, give me a theme for the month of July. Now, Chariot can be about war and conflict, and reverse could be a pause or a cessation, but it can also escalate difficult circumstances and conflicts as well. So we do have a warlike energy going on still in the month of July, and reverse could definitely be more problematic because the Chariot on its course can be very like Ben-Hur on his way to good success. But reverse, I'm not too sure I'm liking that for the major arcana. Any tarot experts out there who are more tarot than I am, let me know what you think of a Chariot reverse archetype for the month of July. I'd love to hear from you. But I don't really, you got a discount code. I think it's 15% in my description box with the link. I think it might be Lori 15. But all I'm saying, just look at my description box and I'll pin the code to the comments. But it might be nice for you to see his website, Coppertist Wu. Beautiful art. And this is what the pendant looks like. I'm wearing it, right? And it just spins, guys. It spins like it's so darn cool. And I've been waiting for a great video to share this with, and I thought this would be the one. These symbols here are for the major arcana, and I got the symbol here, which is the Chariot, and it was reversed. And there's a key code for how to use it, so you know what symbol you're looking at and which of the major arcana you're receiving in your tarot oracle pendant. If that's not the coolest thing, I don't know what. His website is coppertistwu.com. I think my code is Lori15, Lori number 15. If it isn't, whatever the real code is in the description box below. I'll share more of his jewelry as we go on over the year because I really am in love with the intricate craftsmanship and beauty and originality of his work. Now, shall we go ahead and talk about the sky again? I do believe so. I think you should do a screenshot of this right now. This is not every little transit that's going to occur during the month of July, because otherwise we'd be here all effing day. So instead, I've given you the highlights, and we're going to talk about them now in an overview way. And then when we go to your sign, I'm going to specifically talk about what it's like to have Uranus here for the first time in your life, unless you're over the age of 87, in the sign of Gemini, and how that can be a fire starter for initiative, daring, radical change, off the charts energy in your sky. Perhaps even a UFO landing on the White House lawn. Just because I joked about it, it's probably somewhat true. Now we start the month, Neptune retrogrades in Aries and Venus enters Gemini. She was in Taurus since last month. And so June into the first 3 days of July, she's in Taurus, her home kingdom. She's strong. She kept the Israel-Iran war and U.S. involvement from becoming catastrophic. She's in her kingdom. She's in her dignity. And she is the goddess of peace. Okay, so that's why things didn't go off the rails in the month of June. And I commented even on my last video that she would bonify the situation and keep it from going significantly downhill if something emerged at that time. So here we have Neptune retrograding in Aries. Neptune retrograding is a slow and subtle energy. It's almost hard to pick up. It's like a whisper. It's like a subtle zephyr of a breeze. But what is it? It's about what is unseen, because we are deluded, illusions, misinformation, miasma of confusion. It also is the great dissolver. But I've noticed that when he retrogrades, what we couldn't see clearly becomes clear. What we didn't know truly becomes known. So I would suspect that as he begins his retrogradation over several months, we'll have the tide pull back on such things as war agendas, economic agendas. It's the conspiracy theorists delight when Neptune goes retrograde. We see what's really under the frothy waves of propaganda. And so we'll get a little more clear about the world and what its machinations are. I always just say, follow the money. That's what all things are about in this world from those who rule it. But you'll know more about what's true and real beginning July 4th onward as Neptune turns retrograde in early Aries, 0 degrees or 1 degree. Venus is entering Gemini at the same time on, Independence Day. Now, Independence Day, people, in the United States of America, Venus is moving into the American chart, Sibley chart, Gemini, House of Open Enemies, where America was born with Mars, the war god, in that sign. This is Civil War energy. Normally, fights between brothers. Venus is going to go into that part of the chart, which represents the twins, the brothers, the neighbors. This is good for neighbors at war, like Ukraine, Russia. This is good for neighbors at war, like Israel, Gaza. This is not because Venus will try to bring peace. This is not always a positive thing because Venus is in her morning star iteration, which is her warmongering ways. And a morning star Venus in Gemini might incite a little more intensity in war rather than less. We shall see. But she'll be there long enough, all the way to the end of the month till the 30th. She's going to do her best to sew and knit together factions of warring neighbors, warring brothers, and warring ethnicities. Okay, that kind of thing. Uranus will enter Gemini as well, which is where we get the electricity, the excitement, and the turbocharged storylines. Uranus hasn't been here since the 30s and 40s, and so we have something new to consider. What is it going to be like? Of course, Uranus in Gemini was Pearl Harbor for the United States of America during World War II, a shock or a surprise in the house of enemies coming at them. So we can see some shocks and surprises in the world of the United States of America after the 7th of July, and Uranus will be here till November 7th. It's not a one and done, but this puts the United States at risk of events on home soil or bases around the world that can be shocking or unsettling at the very least. Uranus return happens next year for United States. Uranus returns to the United States, got it into World War II, got it into a civil war, and into a war of revolution. So we shall see yet again what is going to happen next year, more likely true closer to the Uranus return when Uranus goes back into Gemini. I believe it's starting in April of 26. We have a Capricorn full moon at 18 degrees on the 10th of the month. Full moons in Capricorn, a sign to do with earth, to do with wealth and resources. It depends on your country or where you live. Capricorn will be one whole sign house of your natal sky. So I can't contextualize it without knowing where you live. For example, Canada being an Aries rising, it's our 10th house of leadership. Full moons can bring completions or fulfillments. So you need to know your own country's chart. For the United States of America, it's resources and money, especially like the money or the reserves that a nation has. So it's economic prosperity chest, so to speak. A full moon may shed light, for instance, on the United States economy and where it really is on July the 10th, or it could end up looking like some kind of full completion around energies to do with financial matters. I don't know. Like the United States is financing wars in the world, it may pull away from that because there's completion with a full moon. We'll see the full moon open up that story at 18 Capricorn on the 10th of the month, and it will unfold over the course of 2 to 3 or 4 weeks even after, where you see the meaning of the moon, and up to 6 months until the new moon, where it continues to unfurl its narrative. Saturn will turn retrograde in the sign of Aries on the 13th. Saturn and Neptune are holding hands. Neptune heads back and then Saturn follows suit. Now, Saturn retrograde in Aries may not be a bad thing. Saturn here is what brought an escalation of tension with the Middle East situation with Iran. There is a chart for Iran that has it as its Aries rising, and there's 2 more charts, Sag rising and Leo. I find the Leo rising chart extremely accurate, and it's based on the constitutional signing in April 1st of 1979, but there's another chart to do with the Ayatollah in February of 1979, and that chart places Iran as an Aries rising, but we don't need Iran to be an Aries rising. It is also an Aries sun in April 1st of 2020. April 1st of 2020, 1979. And so even from the Aries sun, using my Leo rising chart, we see Saturn retrograding in Aries being indicative of a change regarding what's going on in the nation of Iran, whether it's from its identity as a rising sign or it's 10 or 11 degree sun in Aries. It will impact Iran and retrograde, going back over old ground in some way. Indeed, Mercury will be at 17 degrees of Leo on the ascendant of the nation of Iran in the month of July. I believe the date of that might be closer to the 16th or so of the month. I wrote about it in Substack. And that will be a big turning point because I think Mercury retrogrades at maybe 15 degrees of Leo around the 17th, 18th of July, and within 2 degrees of the ascendant of Iran as a refrainment from contact. But I wonder if there's going to be big news stories about a turning of the tide. So where there is sort of a half-assed peace in place now between U.S., Israel and Iran, and it's like there's an extended ceasefire. It could look like July 17th, 18th, around the time that Mercury stations retrograde and is within 2 degrees of nation engaging within 2 degrees of Iran's ascendant, the Leo rising version. We may see a change of course regarding situations of war in the Middle East and announcements, news, and information that reflect that. Stay tuned for that. Okay. So if we hold on to a ceasefire, mid-June looks doubtful. If we don't hold on to a ceasefire and there's a war in play, again, more active warfare going on in the Middle East between Israel, Iran, and United States involvement, then that could be a reversing course mid-July towards more ceasefiring. So we'll see what happens in that time frame. Only the gods know the final answer, but I'm doing my best to accurately guide you in world events. Jupiter is visible in Cancer, which is important around the 16th of the month. He's been invisible all through basically May 30th, okay, the very end of May. So we can say all of June. The justice, morality, wisdom, truth, the good guy has been in the beams of the sun and not visible to our eyeballs. And that means he's off duty, out to lunch, ineffective in worldly affairs. When Jupiter becomes visible in certain parts of the world, check your time zone at timeanddate.com. When he becomes visible in Cancer on the 16th or so, we begin to see the end of what we would have called I was going to say a swear word. Anyway, bad behavior by nations behaving badly in things to do with justice, war, morality. Okay, all of that stuff. We may see more like the sheriff coming in to say, let's clean up this mess. That gives me more hope that the Mercury retrograde on the ascendant of Iran, more or less, could be more positive in July than negative, but we're not sure, are we? We'll have to see. He's in the sign of Cancer, where the United States has its natal sun, right around 14, 15 degrees of the sign of Cancer. He's not visible at that degree, but the point is he could favor the United States, improvement in the United States in some way because of his visibility as he becomes more obvious to our eyeballs. He will favor the province of Alberta, who's a Cancer rising in Canada and wants to do a separation from Canada referendum. Well, Jupiter visible in Cancer will support that in a positive way. He rules law and legal matters, and it could very well be that there's turning points coming up in Canada regarding the separation risk from one of our provinces leaving the nation. Mars is conjunct the South Node in Virgo. Mars conjunct the South Node in Virgo breaks up a Kala Sarpa or Kal Sarpa yoga. All right, let's go into that. When he conjuncts the South Node, it's always led to calamity. There was like a hijacking of 4 planes when this happened. Oh my God, what year was that again? It's on my Substack article. And the next one was several things that happened in 2006 to do with Iran, nuclear power, nuclear enrichment. Iran in 2006, Israel being accused in 2006 of bombing a Reuters car, a journalist car in Gaza. That kind of stuff, or West Bank, that kind of stuff was striking the news cycle in 2006. And the one before that, the date is not in my brain, but you'll just have to forgive me, whatever that was. There's always a calamity when Mars and South Node get together. I can't pretend otherwise. Mars cuts and severs, and he's a war god. He's going to hit the South Node in Virgo. Well, Lebanon's a Virgo country. Hezbollah belongs to Lebanon. So look for stories there that are very difficult, calamitous. It can involve acts of war, acts of terror, etc. One thing about that is that Mars connected to the South Node in Libra on the ascendant of Israel, along with an eclipse in October of 2023. And we saw what came off of that, right? That was the beginning of this absolutely horrific situation in Gaza. And that was a Mars story. Mars will conjunct the South Node in different signs every 2 years. So I'm not going to pretend this is a good story. This is a difficult story around that time of the 21st. But then Mars breaks through on the 22nd to the other side of the South Node, North Node axis, which, by the way, since Saturn entered that energy also back in, I think it was, Saturn crossed the North Node, could have been the end of April. We've been in a kind of a trap or a net of all the planets wedged except for Pluto and Aquarius between the north and the south node, called a Sarpa, or serpentine yoga. These serpentine yogas led to the pandemic. We had one during the onset of the pandemic, the onset of the release of vaccinations, and also the onset of the Ukraine war. So when these kinds of planetary bundles happen to one side of the nodes of fate, fated events that are difficult for the world become very obvious to us. So we've been in that energy. I think it was the end of April, so May, June, and into mid-July, this almost 3 months of crunch, right? Crunch. And we can say, even as Mars blows something up, so to speak, with the South Node, we're going to see something good come of it. Where else is Virgo in the world? I hear you ask me the question. Well, Virgo has many positions in the world and does many different things, but it's the ascendant of Benjamin Netanyahu, has his ascendant there, and he has a South Node transit and it eclipses there. It's not good for sustaining power in leadership. I doubt he will. And we also, if he's not accidentally unalived, he may just fall from power. And that could be a turning point there. It also happens to be the United States of America has its whole 10th house, whole sign 10th house in Virgo. This represents the executive branch and the leaders of that country, including Donald J. Trump. So there's going to be some calamity there as well. So best I can say, maybe Lebanon, maybe Lebanon, maybe a Trump or executive branch of the United States government effectively in power, and or calamity regarding and members of that branch, including cabinet members, and anything to do perhaps with Lebanon and Hezbollah. Now, we move on to Venus bending the nodes of fate on the 23rd of the month. Around that time, she's going to turn the nodes. Oh, she's going to bend them. I'm going to be doing a whole video on that. But remember where she is. She's in Gemini, the sign of warring brothers and warring neighbors. And she's a goddess of peace, and she bends the nodes. Well, I hope that means she's going to strong arm fate and destiny into some final solutions with Ukraine and Russia in particular. And secondarily, of course, hopefully the Middle East conflagration finds a solution of some sort. So it's almost like Mars creates a calamity and Venus tries to fix it. Okay, 21st to the 23rd. And Venus can represent a woman in power who's bending those nodes of fate as well. And so I'm going to do a whole video on this. I'm going to square the nodes of fate, Venus. I'm really going to go deeply into this when we get closer to that time frame for your sign, because it means something for each of us and the world. And you're not a nation, so where does love and money take a pivotal fated turn for you in that time frame? Leo new moon on the 2nd, new beginning. Leo new moon on the 24th at 2 Leo. Obviously, it's going to impact Leo placements. That's Donald Trump, JD Vance, Leo rising. On one of the charts, it's the ascendant of Israel. So, and maybe in one of the Palestine charts, there's a chart for Palestine also delineated as a Leo rising. So major changes there in a Leo new beginning, fresh starts, new moon, and Sun in Leo opposing Pluto and Aquarius on the 25th, not the 35th. There's no such thing as the 35th of the month. I need an assistant. I do all this work myself. On the 25th of July, the sun is now in Leo as of about the 21st second, and it comes into a critical turning point opposition to Pluto and Aquarius, which can be very intense to do with things like death, crisis, and transformation, or just death of sun leader, right? Leader. I'll leave you with that. It can also just be massive turning points in world leadership storylines that are transformative, critical, crisis-oriented, and all that good Pluto story. Regeneration, catharsis. Venus is entering Cancer around the 30th. Well, lovely. She's going to spend most of our story then in the month of August in the sign of home and homeland and nurturance and all the good Cancer stories. And we'll cover that when we get to it. And finally, Venus is cazimi, the sun in the heart of the sun from a retrograde at 9 Leo. Well, 9 Leo, we know who that's going to impact. Donald Trump has his Pluto maybe at 10 Leo. It's very big on his radar for his rising sign, and it could very well impact JD Vance, who's a Leo rising. Big news, big breakthrough news, big insights about Trump, about Vance, about Iran, maybe also about Palestine, should the Leo rising chart be true. That's what I've got for you on the overview. And now let's go into your sign. the focal point of your sign is going to be looking really clearly at how Uranus is a fire starter, off the charts, jumpstart of something new. I was thinking this morning of the old lawnmower where you try to like start the old gas mower. My dad used to get out there and go try to start the lawnmower constantly. And it was so difficult because it was an old gas mower. It reminds me of that somehow. It reminds me of when you take, a rock and you scratch it, like a flint, and you scratch it against another hard surface, you create sparks to create a fire, like a good old Boy Scout. Uranus is that lightning spark air. He's going to be flowing to the retrograde Neptune and retrograde Saturn in the sign of Aries. And it's kind of a vibe, and I want to talk about that vibe for you and what it means, because it's first in a lifetime. So that's where we're going with you, all signs. Don't forget, if you like this kind of content, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. It does help the channel grow. Sometimes I wonder, when I do world astrology, some people don't like it, but that's why I timestamp your sign. And you can skip the world stuff, right? But I have some people who say they don't like it at all and I shouldn't do it. I don't know, guys. Let's get going. Let's do your sign. We'll start with Aries, because Aries, you're at the thick of it, right? You've got Saturn and Neptune in your sign this month, and there's that sextile to Uranus after July the 7th. So this is getting your July the 7th, rest of July vibration. If I see something else I want to talk about, I'll share it with you. And in fact, I'm not going to share the sky with this one. You know why? Because I just want to give you the vibe. No, my sister will kill me if I don't share the sky. I'll share the sky because she has to timestamp it. It's better to see the sky. I think it's better for her to see the sky. I'll share the sky. All right, get ready and settle in. We're going to do your sign. It probably will be about 4 minutes per sign. If I go a little less long on your sign, I apologize. Sometimes I'm getting tired, but sometimes also you may not have as much going on with your sign, right? So I may not have as much to say. So hang in there for that. Don't forget to check out Coppertist Wu and this beautiful pendant. It can be kind of fun to spin the wheel for each sign, right? But then I can't get you a tarot card that way. But then it's like I have to get my magnifying glass, because with my little old lady eyes, sometimes I have a hard time seeing the small things. Okay, just the big things, guys. And don't forget to check out Sky Reader. We're starting in September. Love to have you. Just a gentle reminder, the early bird discount waitlist is worth it because you get a discount code and you don't have to pay full price. All right. And here we have it. Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. I like the sky because I'm one of you. I have a sun and moon in Aries and a Mercury too. So Aries, it looks like obviously the excitement for you is that all of a sudden, after like forever, since 2018 on and off, erratic energy with your money, sometimes rags to riches and riches to rags, up and down, erratic income sources, savings coming, going. Maybe you made money on the internet as Uranus going through your second house. So it's all been going down since 2011. I love the vibe of this ingress. Look at that Saturn flowing to Uranus. It's beautiful energy. Venus is right there to midwife the entry of Uranus into the sky on the 7th, 8th. It's all time zone dependent. And what I'm saying is simple. This beautiful energy fire starts writing, teaching, marketing, selling, websites, social media platforms, publishing even. Those kinds of things become extremely exciting for you for the first time in your life in a way you've never had before. The third house is a house about communication. It's one of the karma houses. You and how you communicate is going to be the new, fresh thing, off the charts, new ways of expressing yourself, ways that are original and inventive, and also that you're having break frees and breakthrough energies in. You can have success financially with Venus here, indicating that there's not just excitement, but also prosperity available to you when through to September, because this is how long this energy is playing out. Now that Mars, I'm just riffing, right? I'm channeling for you guys. That Mars energy is in, and social influence to the max, wealth and riches through social influence. Funny enough, my Substack was trending number 98 in culture yesterday, the Pluto Chronicles, culture, not astrology. So it was trending in the top 100. I had to laugh. I don't know how that happened. Oh, so go check me out at the Pluto Chronicles, but literally influence Pluto in the 11th house, influence. I mean, not you'll begin to hobnob with more wealthy people, more powerful people over the next few months. You'll feel this new energy, but also your influence and your power are increasing as well. That South Node, North Node energy in your 6th house, it's a workhouse, guys. It's the job, it's the servitude, it's this drudgery and the duty. Sometimes it's like where you're a servant in a way. And so now there's going to be a cutting, a severing, a letting go, and a releasing of some aspect of your work. It could also indicate a challenge to your health. Of course, anything in the 6th house can indicate challenges to the health. But on the other hand, I'm not exactly as worried as I would be if Venus wasn't bending the nodes of fate, squaring the nodes of fate just at the same time, more or less. And that's going to be, again, a story to look for in the middle of the month. It's not here yet. But when Mars is crossing that south node around, not the middle of July, it's around the 21st, 20th to the 21st, exactly, building up that week, you might indeed have a health crisis, but a solution, right? Because Venus is going to activate the nodes and she's going to be trying to chime in and make something good come out of something challenging. But you can certainly break away and break free of that challenge. And you can break away and break free of a work situation or even a situation that would be a rental property agreement with Jupiter in the 4th house, blessing the part of your chart that represents home and home prosperity in and from the home, goodness, expansion, and growth in the home. And Mars here with the South Node, maybe you're going to make a fracture an agreement, let go of an agreement regarding a property situation, whether it's a purchase, but probably a rental in this case. One of the other elements of the sky, just as I riff for you, right, just going to vibe into it, is I want to remind you that you've been dealing with a chironic wound to your identity and your sense of selfhood, or your sun, your career, or your moon, your home life. So I can agree that my chironic wound with Chiron moving through Aries since 2019 has made me feel like I completely keep quite not hitting the mark with where I live or how I do the work I do. Money isn't everything. It's a sense of a purposeful alignment with your talents and gifts that Chiron is asking you to do in your sun work, in your moon, where you live, in your home life, and how you nurture yourself and your ascendant, just being at home with this identity, your character you're playing in the game of life. That's coming to a close, right? Chiron's finishing up the wound and you're going to be out of it by 2027. But I love the energy of this Uranus Venus flow to a place where that wound exists. And so there are breakthroughs for you in all of the areas I just described. And Saturn wants you to go the distance, do the long game, lean into your mastery, your wisdom, your authority, your sage-like presence, Saturnian energy, with a playful I am spirit and a childlike spirit of Aries, while at the same time you allow for the Neptune experience of imagination, visualization, and dream and fantasy to be concretized or brought into form. One thing about it is both Neptune and Saturn will head retrograde in the month of July, meaning things from your past that were incomplete, that must be dealt with, especially regarding Uranus in the 3rd house, writing projects, website projects, teaching projects, are going to be reworked as Saturn brings new form and structure to unfinished business into the 3rd house. I'll use me as an example. My agent, Eileen from New York, has been begging me for a year to write a book on astrology. Well, I'm going to use July to go back over my original proposal ideas that she and I had created and dig in and revise and redo. So there's a practical Uranus, Venus in the house of writing, going back with this new structure and form, imagination and vision, and redoing it. So it's not the end of the world kind of thing when the retrogrades are happening. It means things from our past become present again, and we had to finish the unfinished business. Finally, you could be finding out this month that you're going to be a grandparent or a parent. So keep your eye on that ball. I won't tell you all the reasons why. Trust me, it's in the chart. Hey, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. What a July you have ahead. How exciting for all of us to experience this first in a lifetime Uranus ingress into your second house of money. You need to talk to an Aries. They've already lived through this story since 2018 of Uranus in a money house. It's rags to riches, riches to rags. It's electrical spikes of up and down, erratic change in your earnings, savings, and resources. And you will not necessarily find it difficult. I mean, I changed, because I'm an Aries, I changed the way I make money many times since 2018, like on and off, I tinkered, but it was also the onset of my astrology career online. And Uranus can represent innovation, finding freedom, coloring outside the lines, have you using the internet or technology in order to create new ways of making money. And Venus at the very beginning, and this applies, around July 7th, 8th to next November 8th, you're going to be inventing new money sources, new ways to create money. You're outside the box. It's like nothing you've done before. I had never done astrology before as an income until Uranus moved through my second house from my Aries sun. So it's nothing you've done before, nothing you've made money doing before. It's brand effing new, excuse my language. And you'll discover this to be true, of course, not just in the month of July, but also through to the fall. One thing about the ingress is Venus is here and she wants you to get money. She wants you to be prosperous. In Gemini, you might have two gigs going at once. You might have two different sources of income, and you might be trying new directions that are completely unfamiliar to you. Venus here can have you buy or sell property. That's wonderful during the month of July with the complicit energy from Mercury. I particularly want to bring your attention to your own worst enemy stuff. How do you sabotage your life? Especially through something that comes through your nose and mouth. That's what the second house is about. And Saturn and Neptune are in a house of self-undoing. So the addictions, the self-undoing, whether they're emotional, physical, or addiction, substance misuse, and disuse, could be a story that you want to break free from in the month of July. It is dry July for some people. Give it a try if that's one of your challenges. You might find yourself with this energy as well, noticing some improvement in your work and career in the month of July. New jobs, new levels of success in your job, new raises or promotions, and shocks and surprises as new sources of income and career that are totally regenerative, transformative, and fresh and new align for you in this month. That I did hint at that Mars South Node problem around the 20th of the month, 20th to 21st of the month, when the South Node and Mars come together in the fifth house. May not be about you, maybe a separation or a difficulty with one of your children, a separation from a romantic love partner, a separation from one of your adult children, just something very mundane like that, or some difficulty one of your children will go through around the third week of July. That said, you may also want to end or cut or sever or let go of some entrepreneurial business or creative projects that are no longer giving you any sense of satisfaction. And it could just be as simple as releasing them for sure. And with, Jupiter spending, a lot of time there in your third house this month ahead in direct motion, ignore the asteroids, like they're in there, stars are in there from another video, asteroid America in your third house. Well, hey, you may travel to America. This is a travel house, Taurus. Take a trip to America. That could very well happen in the month of July. But still, Jupiter is expanding your marketing, your selling, good things in your local environment, your neighborhood, maybe good energies around getting a job that's entrepreneurial. And Venus with this shock and awe in the earnings house also suggests ruling the sixth house employment. New employment is coming, but it may be requiring you to travel or requiring you to change like it's in a new area of new neighborhood, surprising you opportunities in work. I need to remind you, this is general bell curve astrology, not a personal reading. People get all pissed off and think I'm just lying to you. No, remember, this is not your natal chart. This is very non-specific general guidance. Finally, the 12th house is a moksha liberation house. Dig deep. Pay attention to your dreams at night, especially with Mercury in the fourth house. Ancestral patterns and karmic patterns want to shift dramatically, and you can get insights and information from your prayers, your meditations, your dreams at night to help you really clear the decks on old patterns that no longer serve you, that are holding you back, that you inherited or that you carbon copied from mom and dad without even knowing you did it. This is your breaking free of those patterns for the rest of your life. Uranus is giving you a new code for your life to live in a way that's completely free of ancestral junk in the trunk. Hey, Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. Well, let's say you've got a lot going on with this energy of it's in your sign, Uranus, entering on the 7th, 8th of July, time zone dependent into your house of identity. You are becoming a big lightning rod for divine energy. You are got your little hand up there, and your lightning rod is like a magician at the top of the sky. You've got all the elements on the table before you. I would encourage you to eat well, take magnesium supplements, make sure you get your essential minerals, because I've noticed with clients that this transit, and Tauruses have gone through it before you, have had electrical challenges to the body, jittery, like my daughter, her eyes were always fluttering, that where you have a low electrolyte balance and you get the fluttery eyelids. She's a Taurus. So watch out for your nervous system, your brain, your neurons. You want to keep healthy. You want to give yourself magnesium and potassium and sodium you need for electrolyte balance. It sounds crazy, but you'll see what I mean. Uranus is a nervous system stimulant. It's like MSG on steroids. So I want you to be very good to your body over the next 8 years. But you're first testing this energy, especially you ascendants in Gemini. It's going to hit your body more often than, say, the Gemini sun or the moon. Because Gemini sun, you're thinking about career, and your Gemini moon, you're thinking about your home life. But nonetheless, all of you should be on your good electrolyte balancing supplements. Speaking of which, I should promote these guys. I think it's a Canadian company, and it's called Blackwater. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I don't think they ship to the United States. Naturally dissolved mineral salts. And it's bottled in Bridesville, British Columbia. But look at the color of that stuff. It's crazy, but it's full of naturally occurring trace minerals. So I want you to think along those lines, okay, for you, something like that, where you get those minerals in your body. Okay, now, other than that, we go on to the next part of my channeling for you guys. You could see yourself, you could find yourself in July, all the way through to September, really, breaking free out of a box that you didn't even know you were in. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't know there was a box I was stuck in. I didn't know if this was a containment chamber I closed myself into. There's some kind of freedom here for you. I feel free to be me any old time. There's just something about you wanting to liberate yourself from something that had you stuck. And so with Venus, it's going to be positive and bona fide, and it's beautiful. And I will do a whole 30 minutes for each sign on this. It's too big, but just know freedom and breaking free and breaking through are yours for the taking in whatever you think has been holding you back in life. And your ideas may be coming through in new ways for writing, communicating, marketing and selling and teaching, with that Mercury placement in Leo for 2 months. And I do want to mention that having this energy of Saturn, the fire starter, in your 11th house can jumpstart like a lawnmower that was stuck. My dad trying to start that lawnmower when I was a kid, the gas went and suddenly it starts, excuse my bad sound effects, jumpstarting your presence in greater career gains that last a long time, that work with your long-range goals and dreams. Greater career gains that last a long time in alignment with your long-range goals and dreams can be jump-started for you for the first time in your life in a way you've never seen before, as you have new original visions to use your wisdom and mastery and authority in a new way to increase your success. Anybody who's listening who has a online business, especially, or works in videography platforms and social media land, you're going to have a very positive experience July, August, September, October, into early November. One thing about this is that you do have that south node, we all do, Mars problem child in the 4th house. Now, this can be traveling from home to a place you've traveled before, even to another country. So don't be too afraid of it. 3rd week of July could indicate long distance foreign travel, or traveling a lot from the home, being separated from the home. That's all that might be. But on the other hand, there could be some kind of difficulty, conflict, or separation in the home with somebody you live with. It could also indicate a desire to separate from your home or leave your home in a more solid way, to move your home. Mars rules a house of rentals. You could choose to de-rent yourself, or move to a new home, or rent a new home. Those are all possibilities as well. You're also going to notice that this energy here of having Jupiter in the 2nd house is increasing your gains and your earnings and your resources and your savings, and making you more prosperous over the next year. And it's still going on this month and we'll trine in September, the North Node. That's a real career peak for you guys. But especially you sun's rising and sun in Gemini. Don't forget your Gemini moon is about your home and home life. So anyway, having Jupiter in the second house is such a blessing for your finances. And I don't think that's the most important thing on your radar right now. You're divinely protected. It's as if what you're really focusing on most of all is you got your eye on the ball when it comes to a reinvention of your career, your home life, and what you do at home, breaking free of that shackle, or your sense of identity. So trining Pluto in the ninth house is a Dharma alignment. It's moving into the Lakshmi, wealth and prosperity. Yeah, Pluto in the ninth, but it's also about Dharma and moving into a deep regeneration and renewal, because you moved into a sense of purpose and you're really living into that purpose as well. Don't forget, Pluto will be opposite the sun at the end of the month. It's in the intro. And there's a really big breakthrough that can come from that, but also a moment of truth, right? A moment of truth about what you really want to do in alignment with purpose versus your attention being so solarly lit up in that third house of teaching, writing, communicating, marketing, and selling. All right, keep me posted for what happens there. And I'd love to hear back. I'm going to stop the share for a sec and be right back. I'm back. Yes, you're right. It was a chocolate break. You guys know I'm fixated on chocolate. It was a Canadian brand. It was so delicious. And now I'm ready to roll. It was a rosemary dark chocolate sea salt combination by a brand called Zimmet. Anyway, here we are with you guys, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. Jupiter's in your sign, right? So let's just say everything else is like irrelevant, but Jupiter here blesses you for a whole year. So until next year, you might get pregnant, you might get muscular, you might gain a little weight, but you're also lucky, vastly spacious, wise and true. Good for you to be commanding attention, becoming successful in whatever way you desire to be successful. You're very lucky in the next year. That aside, you do have to look at the sky during the month of July and notice that for the first time in a lifetime, you've got Uranus entering into your 12th house with Venus midwifing his entrance. This is so positive for any of you, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising, who might want to become more open to spiritual inquiry, occult mastery, discovering the richness of, mediumship or psychic ability or past life regression or the Akashic records. Whether you're reading it or being read, it doesn't matter. It's opening up a very profound alignment between Pluto and that occult mysteries 8th house and beautiful energies in your 12th. And also, if you want to know what the 12th house Uranus is like, it could have spiritual wisdom and breakthroughs, like a lightning bolt of spontaneous spiritual awakening or spiritual liberation. Now, this is true, of course, not just July, but through to November. This is the first take on a larger 8-year story. Having Uranus and Venus here can really break free an addiction, self-undoing, bad habit or pattern where you are your own worst enemy. You can just give it up already. Now, this is a land of distant shores and foreign lands, including revenue and commerce from those lands and those people in those lands. This could get you quite wealthy. So if you want to make money from international revenue, borderless income, and distant shores, I'd say go for it. Pluto suggests you do money that's investment money from the markets, money from things that are more passive income, not your day-to-day bread and butter, but who knows? With Neptune and Saturn in your 10th house. Part of that feels to me like you're trying to change your career because you're going retrograde. You're going to be looking this month ahead of July at things from the past, ways you've done it before. You want to achieve success and mastery. You're at the top of a mountain, but you have to go back to old things that were in play and think about them twice. Do you need to revise? Well, you need to even re-educate yourself as Saturn in September enters into your house of education. But there's a kind of a desire to align deeper with purpose and Dharma and be really on your calling. And so you're sort of taking a step back in July and beginning to reassess, is this the right path? What do I need? What do I want? Will this fulfill me? Will this be in alignment with my purpose that brings me the greatest luck and prosperity I could possibly imagine over the next year? Possibly here with Neptune also retrograding and flowing to Uranus in a beautiful little sextile. There may be some career opportunities connected to people who are living and distant shores and far off places, quite far away from you. And Venus rules your 11th house of allies and benefactors. And she says maybe an elder sibling also can be quite instrumental in some career decisions and career gains for you. Having the energy of Mars, well, let's not even go there yet. One more thing. Just know that having a lot of that Mercury going on in your second house in July, you're really revising and rethinking the way you make money and going back to, the past to go forward again. So don't be really gentle on yourself in July into August. It's not like you have to figure it all out now. That retrogradation can even bring job, career opportunities from people you've known in the past or back from the past. So a lot of like career things from before, the before time, whatever that is for you, is getting renegotiated in the month of July. So you can move forward, picking up pieces of stuff that aren't necessarily you're not ready to discard. You want to go back to something you've known and done and been and doing, but you want to make it new and fresh. And you're going to kind of do that journey of investigation July through to September, but especially in July and August. And then we have that South Node on the 20th. What are you going to do there? I don't know. It looks like you might have a loss, a cutting, a breaking from a neighbor, a neighborhood situation, ending or closing up a website or a social media platform, kiboshing or clashing with a sibling one younger than you, or unfortunately, a sibling one younger than you may be dealing with a challenge to their health. You could be on the sidelines, not even engaged in that at all. One thing I know that even if there is a health crisis, say around the 20th of the month for someone, a childhood friend, a sibling, a neighbor, or some challenge in their lives, Venus is trying to work it out. She is in a square to the nodes, and she could try to release a solution or find a way to resolve things here. We'll be talking about Venus spending the South Node, particularly in a video that's going to come out mid-month. You're really going to want to be around for that one, for your sign. Last but not least, one thing I'd say here, you're negotiating things to do with earnings and money. You're tabulating, you're bookkeeping. Mercury's in your second house. You're accounting for your spending, and you're looking more closely at that. So when at the end of the month, the sun, well, not the end of the month, when about the third week, around the 21st of the month, the sun and Pluto, 21st to 24th, come into mortal combat on finances. When push comes to shove, it is the accounting, the tabulating, the reckoning, the details about your money that are going to have to be focused on. You can't just gloss over it, right? You have to really align with what it is that you need to pay attention to financially. And that's going to come to your attention in the third week of July, but it's going to be okay. But it's because you've got Jupiter on your side. But like, really, it could be time to really just sit down and look at your numbers in a way, and what you need and what you want and what you can do to achieve what you want, because you are so lucky, so darn lucky, that when it comes to your career over the next year, and your home life and your anything you want to be good at and lucky at, you're on your A game, especially Cancer, sun and rising sign. All righty, Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is just a quickie. Don't forget, your all signs individual 30-minute videos are already out. You can find them in the description box. This is just an overview. And the electrical fire starter energy, something fresh, something new, something dramatic is coming into your 11th house of good spirit, the house of the sibling one older, something turbocharged, exciting, and positive. With Venus, this could be happening in the sibling one older than you. Boom. And it may impact you in a positive sextile way, bringing you opportunity as well. But also, it's your own house of career gains, your own house of long range goals and dreams, your own house of windfalls. And there could be a financial windfall or a sudden shocking realization of a dream or a goal that you've been had for a while. And because Saturn supports it from the Dharmic house, it could increase your success in your career in a very aligned and purposeful way, in a shocking and surprising manner in the month of July as well. You could have a sudden, exciting, shocking, surprising opportunity to travel to a place you've been before, maybe with a friend, a benefactor, ally, or sibling older. Why? Before, because retrograde Saturn and Neptune indicate you've been there before. This is distant shores and far off lands. Off you go on an adventure. Been there before. Enjoy the ride. Go back again. Probably a place that you like. With Neptune, it would be watery. With Aries and Saturn, it would be hilly and rocky and maybe hot. But go on a journey in July, maybe, or in August even. This energy plays out thematically through till September. With Pluto in your 7th house, I bet you any money you guys are having some kind of glow up in your long-term committed love story with some lucky breaks for your significant other, or in connection to your significant other. And if you're single, you could go into it, or if you're dating, let's put it that way, more commitment with somebody that you're in a relationship with already, and take it up a notch, move it up a notch in some fundamental way. There's a lot of you doing Mercury this month. You could be really working it when it comes to things to do with I'm writing, I'm speaking, I'm talking, and I'm ideating. And this is going to be true for 2 whole months, July and August, with Mercury extending his stay there in Leo. I've already have a video on that. Go watch it. However, with all this mercurial energy that you're embodying, right, it does invite a beautiful energy with Lord Saturn to write a book, publish a book, plan a long distance trip, negotiate deals in legal matters, get accepted at your favorite university or college, or write the winning essay or application grant for colleges, or things like that. Very beautiful writing, communicating, speaking, positive energy for you this month. What I want to say is let go of some kind of money story. Mars South Node, July 20th or so, breaking a Sarpa yoga as well. Let go of, release, and surrender some kind of financial constriction and constraint that has been holding you back. Mars rules your 4th house of home. It indicates a possible change of home and financial circumstance regarding home. That's letting go of one thing to invite in something new. It does not have to be a hardship at all, but possessions and home and earnings and money and home life are having a shift. You may move your home. Someone may move out of your home. You may spend money for something to do with the home situation. Money from your past may be involved with the South Node Mars. This is where it gets tricky because it does have a broad square to Uranus. So money from the past may be emerging in your life all of a sudden, out of the blue, unexpectedly. But it often speaks here to a releasing and letting go of a financial situation that is no longer in play. You don't need it anymore. A way of earning money could go by the wayside. You could quit your job, so to speak, but something good is happening anyway, and you'll find yourself landing on your feet on the other side of that with great success by the fall. Guys, you're a Virgo sun, you're a Virgo moon, you're a Virgo rising. Take your pick, doesn't matter. It's an interesting time to be you. You've got this Uranus ingress into your 10th house, first in a lifetime. It is going to indicate some extremely surprising energy with your work and career. You probably are not even beginning to see it, left fielders, right? But it's okay. Venus is there saying positive left fielders. Now, even a left fielder could be you get a sudden job opportunity, a new sudden promotion or raise, or suddenly you get fired. Who cares? Because whatever's happening here, it's going to work out. Mars is like the god of making decisions and taking actions in your sign, and he's squaring the 10th house. So eventually, almost in a perfect square to Venus, you could quit your job. And you might be so happy you did, but it's suddenly very flashpoint, sudden, shocking energy because it's going to come really quickly. If it's not that kind of thing, then there's something about a level of surprise and success in your career. It may involve technology, the internet. It may involve a higher level of respect or appreciation by people in the public, or even amongst your coworkers and colleagues. You're just going to have a nice flashpoint of good stuff in July regarding the career and reputation. If you're retired, what are you doing in the world that people see you doing? How can it be surprising but also successful? Having a flow from the Uranus Venus story to Pluto in the house of work and livelihood and office and job and career and employees. You may suddenly get hired, suddenly get a new job, employment job, just coming out of the blue. And I can't tell you what it is, but Jupiter is increasing your career gains, and he rules the 4th house of land, property, and real estate. So careers in that area could be on the menu, on the agenda. But whatever it is, certainly a Pluto trine Uranus from the Artha 6 to the 10th indicates positive developments this summer in their career space, in the employment space. And this rolls through till September. But with Uranus, fast-moving, swift, fire starter energy, it comes out of the blue. We get the fire starter coming also from 8th house, Saturn, Neptune, also both retrograding this month. there is a possibility you're going to start earning money in a different way, not just getting a paycheck, but finding ways to create wealth that come from investments, inheritances, father figures giving you money, a sudden uplift in your finances you didn't expect from a stock taking off, an investment. Just that kind of unearned income has got the potential to really shoot up suddenly in a way you didn't expect this month ahead. You're very lucky with Jupiter this month and all for the next year. He's in his joy in your 11th house, allowing you to broaden your social groups, to find dreams and plans for your life that really are true and wise for you. But he's exalting your career gains. And so we have no doubt about it. By next summer, you'll look back in the rearview mirror and say, wow, I had some really great successes in my career, and I made some really good gains in my career reputation space. So that's exciting for you as well. Mercury often in the 12th house says, pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to your inner messages, pay attention to your synchronicities. This is a month where he's trying to deliver good career messages to you. Just pick up the breadcrumbs from God. There is a message trying to happen here. Listen in. Hey, Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is a sky that opens up a beautiful, shocking, but surprising positive Venus, Uranus energy around July the 8th, when, Uranus is entering into the sky, into your 9th house. And Venus is offering some support, and it wants to sort of bonify the ingress, make it good for you. And it flows to Pluto in your 5th house of of good fortune. And it can be like a strike of good fortune. For the 9th house is also very fortunate, but it may be good fortune regarding education, higher education, long distance travel, matters to do with entrepreneurship and creative projects. If you're single, a sudden, shocking, surprising new romance can emerge. It's really good for those of you who are artistic, creative, and entrepreneurial in the book publishing industry. Sudden breakthroughs, break free energy here. It's really nice. And if you're all creative or artistic, this is a really good energy for international success. This is also good breakthroughs in the house of pilgrimages. And this is also energy that opens up a doorway to Saturn, that fire starter, new clients, new public, new audience, new marketplace, connecting to this positive publishing, book publishing, pilgrimaging, educating, teaching 9th house. With Saturn retrograde and Neptune, you might go back to or hear from people from your past. These can be former lovers, spouses or lovers with where Pluto sits, coming out of the woodwork, former business partners returning into your awareness during the month of July, even through to September, and opening up new doors of positive excitement for you. If you have any kind of employment that involves the word international company, international employer, international reach, I suspect that with Jupiter in your 10th house, you're going to see some major breakthroughs this month ahead in July, but also throughout to the end of the summer. Mercury is talking a lot in your 11th house. It's a good time to get on your pulpit. I would like to see you with this energy doing a lot of podcasts, a lot of speaking, a lot of influencing groups of people with your words, your message. That's good for July and August. And you may repeat messages you've said in the past, but this time they make an impact. Before, nobody was listening. Now everyone gets your message. Just watch out for that Mars South Node story. It is a little bit of a pothole in the month. It's going to be around the 20th. Good news and bad happen all at once. Sarpa yoga breakthrough. So you've been stuck in some area, you can break free, break through. That's a lot of stuck, right? Watch the intro. April, May, June, July. But now Mars breaking free. This is really ideal for letting go of an addiction or self-undoing, bad habit, or substance misuse disorder. But with the South Node here, you could also make a change regarding distant shores and foreign lands and travel. And there may be some need to surrender or let go of some plans that you had regarding those matters around the 3rd week of July. And you might need to let go of somebody that you know. Now that sounds intense, but that's a house of hospitals. Mars South Node, it could indicate somebody you know, likely a friend because of Mercury in the 11th house, but you never know. There may be a situation where there's a difficult circumstance in the 3rd week of July with a sibling one older, or with a friend, ally, or benefactor, and the word hospital, just for a few of you. Please don't overstress about it. Really, this is general bell curve astrology. We'll be talking about more about Venus spending the nodes of fate also around 23rd of July. Stay tuned for that. You don't want to miss that one. It's a really big deal in your chart. And so it could even lead to a change, perhaps, depends on your whole sign sky, but a change of home regarding career matters for some of you, moving your home connected to career success or career changes. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, let's start off with the beginning of the story. Uranus has not been in Gemini since like the 1930s, 40s, and here he is again. So I'm going to call it first in a lifetime because I'm telling you the truth. First time ever. You're going to have electrical shock currents in your eighth house. Talk to the sign who's already gone through this. I always tell people, don't leave it to chance. Other people have gone through this story before of Uranus in the eighth house. And you could learn from them. And who would that be? Who would that be, right? And that would be your Libra folk. So talk to Libra, sun, moon, and rising friends and say, how did that go for you? Was that fun? Was that hard? Did I get that right? My brain's not working. Yes. Uranus and Taurus. Well, the eighth house transit can be very important for occult knowledge and acceleration of your mastery of those skills in breakthrough ways, but also for spiritual awakening, letting go of your egoic identity and having spiritual breakthrough. So again, Libras have lived through it already, but that aside, it's a financial house and sudden upswings in money connected to property, land, mortgages, real estate, banking, finance, stock investments, shared resources with a business partner and love partner, and erratic, unstable, but maybe rags to riches possibilities. Certainly includes royalty income, Google ad income from revenue from those other sources as well. I don't mind this for you because Venus is definitely saying it's up, it's there's more rags to riches here. In the beginning of the story, she's bonifying Uranus's entry into the chunky money, 8,000. I would say probably you're going to notice like July 8th, through the month of July in general, a lot of excitement in your mortgages and finances and investments, eighth house. And with Pluto trining from the fourth house, an ideal time to buy or sell a property. But there's acceleration, there's excitement, there's dramatic intensity, maybe a bit of the unexpected here as well. Noticing that Saturn is in a rental house with pets and rentals and tenancies, you may even find a shocking, surprising opportunity to rent out a property as a tenant or as a landlord to lease your property. And it just comes out of the blue. You're so excited. Not too shabby from getting a pet as well. Unexpectedly, excitingly in July, maybe into August, a pet shows up on your doorstep and you say, sure, come on in. Now, one of the things about Uranus doing this jig in your eighth house, it is an inheritance energy. I can't pretend otherwise. So I just let you know, Jupiter Sun in the ninth house of father figures could be money coming from a father figure. Pluto could suggest unexpected legacy wealth coming through. This is just a possibility, not a probability. This is not your chart. This is a general reading. So, keep what works and discard the rest, please. I don't know that you're going to exactly, well, I'm going to say how I see it. Mercury in your back and forth in your 10th house retrograde, July, August, you're probably going to go back to some kind of work you've done before or hear from colleagues and employers from the past, renegotiate your work from past circumstances. It's almost like pulling back the bowstring to go forward, going back in order to go forward. By taking one step back, you go two steps forward, July and August, in your career matters. And with Mercury flowing to that Saturn-Neptune storyline, the fire starter in work, that Uranus wants to kickstart, there's some changes in your work coming up in July and August. You could change a job, but you can go back almost to an older type of job or a type of work that you've done before. It could be, by the way, over the next year, publishing and writing are extremely positive. Going back to school or university or studying is very positive. Lots of travel to far off shores can be really luscious and lucky for you in the next year. That's Jupiter's backdrop story. But I would say there could be some significant July activations with Firestarter Uranus of unexpected shocking changes in the work you're doing, but in a positive way. You're not going to mind the changes, whatever they are. Watch out for that July 20th South Node Mars story. You could have a falling out with a friend or a social group, like a letting go, releasing, a cutting, severing around the 20th of July. Venus is trying to patch up afterwards. You could have a falling out with a sibling, one older. You could have a falling out with or difficult circumstance arising regarding a career gain situation. You might quit a job off of this, right? So with Mercury's retrograde, you're going to pull away, pull back out of a career path. But if you do, walk away or it walks away from you, know you're going to be fine. For Jupiter next summer will enter your 10th house and you're off to the races in some kind of once every 12 years acceleration of career success. So breathe easy and rest easy, especially with the North Node eclipse at the end of next year, beginning mid to end of next year, being to really fully activate your 10th house of career. So any letting goes now lead to bigger gains later on. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is like a story for you, and it is first in a lifetime, and it is exciting if you're single and you're looking for a relationship. Even July could bring it because Uranus, outside the box, exciting Venus love in the house of commitment. That said, ask another sign who's lived through this story. That would be your Scorpios. They've gone through it already for, the last 8 years. I've seen most couples going through this do things like, we're doing a marriage sabbatical. We're going to go polyamorous. We're going to be independent and live apart, but be together. They break the mold and break the structures of existing traditional long-term committed love. It's breaking out of those molds. Or your partner needs to have some independence and freedom during some of this transit. It is 7 years long, so it's not a one and done. Depends on the degree of your ascendant descendant axis when it really hits you over the next 7 years. But there's a new energy in town, and Uranus is going to shake it up in the marriage house, but also maybe bring you fresh energy and renewal and breaking free and through and that part of your sky too. And in the fire starter to the sex house, the 5th house, it could rejuvenate you in your romantic life with an existing committed love partner. If you start a new relationship under this energy, it's definitely going to have unusual energy. And Venus says, we'll try to make it last, but Uranus says it's nothing like you've ever done before. Certainly, this could lead to surprises coming through July, August into September, but, especially July from your significant other, where they have some surprising, shocking news for you. It could be anything. Saturn in the 5th house, how you've been working hard to get pregnant, that kind of thing. And there's a breakthrough, break free, or there's a dramatic story happening in the life of a significant other, especially with Mercury early in the month up at the top of the sky. They may be having some kind of unexpected, exciting opportunities connected to travel, education, foreign lands, or legal and court matters. And you're just on the sidelines watching them have their thing, right? However, Mars in the South Node by July 20th in the house of weddings, or the legally binding ceremony, and shock and awe. Uranus, I don't know that you're Venus spending the nodes of fate the third week of the month. If you're in a relationship where there's already an agreement that this thing isn't going to go the way we want, there could be some real pivotal turning points in the third week of July as you let go of that relationship, basically, or it is mutually agreed upon, or there's clear directions about what to do with that relationship. And if you need to share assets and stuff, Jupiter will help you do that successfully. Jupiter is going to give you unexpected chunks of money in the next year, and it will favor you getting what you deserve and want, especially if you're dealing with land and real estate and property and shared assets with another person. Pregnancy could happen sort of in this storyline, but not necessarily, but it kind of has a vibe. So let me describe it to you. News inbound that you're going to be a grandparent is the most likely story that I could see in this story. You're going to hear about a fertility story sometime in July. Now, one last thing I want to say about this, with Pluto in your 3rd house, and that's dominating till 2044. When the fire starter ingress happens, it does wake up Pluto. So if you are a writer or a teacher of any kind, and publishing is a part of your wheelhouse as well, including Substack or book publishing, there are some powerful breakthroughs, and you might get a new level of exposure to audience and marketplace that looks like a viral hit, or being very successful in writing, publishing, and teaching storylines. Pluto can get you rich by writing and publishing and teaching in the next 20 years, and you could have a public audience marketplace 7th house breakthrough in the month of July. So let's see what happens. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. So you got to get used to this energy because it's going to be here for 7 years. And you can talk to a Sag for any guidance. They've lived through what I'm about to describe to you. And that is the entrance, the ingress, the entrance, the beginning of Uranus moving through on July 7th, 8th, your 6th house. It could very much mean a radical amount of change in the years ahead. And you'll start to feel it in January and July and August regarding pets, rental properties, debts, tenancies and agreements, whether you're the landlord or the tenant. Health matters. Now, Uranus is about the nervous system as well. So electrical currents in the body. So please, be careful with your brain and your nervous system and your nerves in your body. Do good health measures for that. But also Uranus here can be very disruptive of the job or the work that you do in the world. If you have a job, if you do a job in particular, and Venus is a ruler of your 10th house of career and reputation, there is this kind of jolt of energy here. And if you're retired, it's just what is your reputation in the world and how is it going to change vis-a-vis unexpected, exciting, out of the box job and career awakenings in July and into August. With Saturn, the fire starter energy between houses 4 and 6, the lawnmower's firing up here or the big lighters popping, you might find yourself in a situation where there's unexpected, surprising developments regarding property and land and home, connected to work, home and homeland, connected to work, or connected to properties for rent or rental, or in your case, an unexpected pet opportunity emerging around July 7th and 8th. But, that's kind of trivial for this. So yes, you will have erratic developments with pets, sudden unexpected developments with pets in the next 8 years, but in rental properties and work situations and health matters. But at the very same time, you have Venus entering, like midwiving the entry here. So it feels like July is mostly positive here. Pluto is in the earnings house, money and resources, and Venus is in the karmic debts and real life debts. Kind of an unexpected opportunity to pay off debts or an unexpected debt owed to you returning from the past, especially with the retrograde Mercury coming up in the end of the month. And so Mercury is going to retrograde. So is, everybody's going to be retrograding. Well, all said and done, Mercury retrogrades on July 17th. Money owed you from the past can return to you suddenly and unexpectedly during the month of July. Negotiations around property, real estate, and land, stock investments from the past suddenly surging into the present. Things to do with that are very strong for you this month as well. Certainly, Pluto can wealth you up over the next, 18 years. And there's a bit of a shock off Pluto Uranus story this summer. Some of it may be felt in July, some may take longer, through to even November, but you may be finding yourself engaged in unexpected, exciting opportunities for new employment. And with the ongoing Saturn Neptune story down there, may be connected to your ancestral line, your homeland, your hometown, but then later on connected to Saturn Neptune sliding into your third house, the need to travel or change your neighborhood or change your home and your neighborhood regarding exciting new work opportunities. For some of you, if you don't work, you do something that everyone sees you do in the world, and you're making some changes there. Lastly, a massive shift of dietary habits and style can come out of the blue and unexpectedly, not just in July, but maybe into August. And that could be radically helping you improve your health when you find out that one thing you're eating, you should not be eating, and you just stop doing it. All right, Uranus, Aquarius. Oh my God, I am one of you. Sun, moon, and rising. I am a rising sign Aquarius. What we have going on is a beautiful air trine from Uranus as he flows to Pluto and asks us, are you ready to be unexpectedly pregnant? Are you ready to unexpectedly discover you're a grandparent? That's all in the very beginning of the story, likely, July 8th, the end of July. These exciting stories could emerge. Pluto, we are powerful, we are transformative, and we are moving like forces beyond our power through us. How are you guys doing? It's exhausting. I find it exhausting. My body, my nervous system is stressed out with Pluto here. But also Pluto says you're going to be powerful, dominating, maybe tyrannical, maybe wealthy, maybe uncompromisingly allowing divine willpower to move through you as it flows to your creativity, your artistry, your muse, your inspiration, your entrepreneurial instincts, and your natural talents and gifts in this life being activated suddenly and dramatically. And I mean natural, you're born with them. I was never born to be a singer, but I was born to be a writer. So those talents that you were born with are going to surge up and begin to be evident for you in the month of July. With a fire star to Saturn, it behooves you to use these natural gifts and talents to go viral or to have great success creatively regarding writing, teaching, blogging, any kind of online communication structures. Also, sudden opportunities and exciting developments regarding romantic love, foreign leisure travel, local events that surprise you connected to romance. If you were single, I guess you could meet somebody in a local environment. It's kind of dreamy, Neptune and Saturn, long game love, but it is retrogradation going on most places here. So again, it may connect to your past. You could be single, bumping into somebody you knew in the past and fire starting an old love story. With Venus in your fifth house, in the house of her joy, you are very lucky when it comes to money. This is a house of good fortune through financially through speculation. That means casinos, lotteries, bingo halls, etc. And luck here is for the taking. Begins on July the 8th. Lasts until the end of the summer, till September 1st. Venus is here until the 30th of the month. So it really gives you the entire month of July to be very successful in lucky breaks financially. Pluto is wealth, trines it from your sign. And the third house would say regarding local environment luck too. Maybe because you buy the ticket at the local kiosk, right? Or it has to do with a lottery in your local neighborhood, that kind of thing. Maybe a fundraiser, like, for a local charity or something, and you're going to be very lucky in the month of July. With Mercury going back and forth in your Leo house, I'm wondering if some of you are thinking renegotiating some kind of legal contracts during the month of July, and maybe contracts from your past, but also hearing from former long-term spouse-like relationships as you get emails and phone calls from those former long-term partners of committed love in July and August. You might also notice with Mercury here, though, that there's a lot of conversation going on with somebody significant in your life, and it can particularly pertain, of course, to a love partner. Back and forth, talk, communicate, regurgitate stuff. A lot of convo with a potential blowout around the 21st of June as a Pluto Sun opposition occurs along the self and other axis. So, we'll see what happens in her committed love stories. There could be some intensity in the third week of July. Maybe also with Mercury in your seventh house here. This is the audience and marketplace. Mercury is the microphone. You might be getting some new kind of commercial exposure, more exposure in the public it's new to you in a way, or fresh, or old public exposure coming back from the past, like you recorded a podcast with another channel and they finally air it in the month of July. Mercury is also loving up Venus, so possibly entrepreneurial creative art success in the public becomes a massive theme for you in the month of July. After likely the 8th, we want that fire starter in the fifth house to kick in strongly to allow for these things to unfold. Don't be afraid of Uranus in your fifth house. You're going to live through it for all about 8 years. Talk to all the Capricorns who went through this. Did they have unexpected pregnancies, birth of children? Did they go through radical transformation of their sex life? Did they try unusual, kinky, weird things that they'd never done before? It started in 2018. Go talk to your Caps. It will break you outside of any kind of sex love mode in terms of tradition, and you'll want to do it new and free, and you want to break the mold. So that's a story that you can ask Caps about because they've already lived through it. Mm-hmm. And Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. Finally, we get to the best and always best, never last and never least, mystic poets of the zodiac. I've got a lot of you in my life. I actually like Pisces people. Sometimes people think I don't, but I do. Now, with the Pisces story here, for the first time in your life, Uranus has entered into your fourth house around July the 8th or so, 7th, 8th. And as he enters into the fourth house, and he doesn't leave until November, okay, for this testing of the waters, it's going to bring you unpredictable, erratic, maybe exciting developments in your home life, in where you live, in land and property and real estate. Venus is here as soon as this begins, and she owns mortgages, banking, financing, escrow, all that good stuff. So there could be some exciting developments there in the month of July. Now, long game is you're not going to be very stable. Unfortunately, this will be destabilizing your home life. I'm an Aquarius rising. I moved to like 6 different homes since 2018. I can't promise you a rose garden here. I don't know. It's got to be a digital nomad rose garden. There may be a lot of moves unexpectedly, a lot of changes of home unexpectedly in your life over the next 7-8 years. And so maybe also you're going to have an unexpected but exciting opportunity for a change of home, perhaps a rental home, because Mercury is dominating the 6th house of rental, tenancy, landlord, leasing agreements. And so unexpected, exciting landlord opportunities, agreements regarding property leases can come to you out of the blue, as well as unexpected developments regarding pets. Fire starter, Uranus in your 4th house, Venus bonifying, talking to Saturn in the 2nd, like, holy man, how exciting is that? It looks to me like you could have some great financial opportunities coming up. Because of Neptune and Saturn heading retrograde, the long game might be connected to financial situations, earning situations from your past. It's possible you could also have a stock takeoff in your stock investments if you have those. But again, because of the retrogradation of Saturn, it may be connected to the past. Saturn will teach you to save money, a lot more money in the next 3 years. And with Neptune, to align your earnings, monies, and resources with longer range goals, dreams that you wish to excitingly, create in your life. And I think this fire starter is opening up something like a karmic story, because 4th and 12th are moksha liberation. 4th is the ancestral line, the ancestors, your childhood, your family of origin. And Pluto in the 12th is like past lives and Akashic records. You could have a major shift around finances as you break free of old patterns and structures connected to those old vows of poverty or chastity, vows of poverty in another life, or even connections to patterns that come through your family of origin. Like I say, you carbon copied them without meaning to, and now it's time to let them go. Very liberating regarding patterns regarding finances that are connected to ancestral stories and past life wounds, let's call it that, and breaking free and breaking through. Watch out for the South Node connected to Mars around the 20th of the month, 20th, 22nd. He breaks free of a Sarpa yoga, but he's piling up into that North Node. The Sarpa, I explained in the beginning, it'll liberate you to express yourself in the career and the public in a bigger way. We'll be doing a special video on that. But dominating this energy is Mars in your 7th house, which can lead to release, surrender, and let go of the following themes. Give me a health challenge with the life of a significant other. But with Jupiter, bonifying or sextiling your 7th house, it can't be too bad. There will be something positive, a solution. But more importantly, there may be your partner or you in a long-term committed love may need to let go of something in the relationship. A structure, maybe sometimes a geographical separation will come off of this. This will be on point or in the focal point of your awareness, maybe the 3rd week of July, the 15th to the 22nd, about maybe separation or distance between you physically, geographically, especially squaring Venus in the 4th house. So there is a sense that you may part ways or separate ways, but there also could be something going on in the life of your partner where they're having some difficulty and you're just observing with your Jupiter benefic Jupiter here and operating to make you very fertile, maybe a parent or grandparent in the next year, but you have a lot of luck. Jupiter's in the house of financial good fortune, including lottery wins. And so, but that same Jupiter does look at the marriage house in a positive way. So the marriage story is kind of intense, but Jupiter's trying to smooth it out. If anything, though, you may break a legal agreement of some kind in the 3rd week of July, and it may connect to work or employment because of Mercury's position in your 6th. And if you break in a work or employment agreement or a property lease agreement in the month of July, then it's meant to be, because Venus will bonify, come on the 23rd of the month and sort of mop it up, try to bring some sweet lemonade from the lemons of some difficult circumstances, maybe the 16th to the 20th of July. Do you need to break an agreement, or is it agreement being broken regarding land, property, real estate, home, rental property, and work situations? Yeah. And I think that's what I've got for you. All right. But Mars rules your house of judges and courts. Mercury's in the house of legal disputes. If you've been in an illegal action of anything, everything from fighting off a parking ticket to a major problem, this is going to be a turning point in those legal action stories for you on the third week of the month. I'd say the 16th to the 22nd to look for those turning points to happen here. Alrighty. That's what I got for you, Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out of here. I felt like I was here way too long, that I didn't think I meant to go that long. I'm doing these little outros at the end of my videos. And sometimes I prepare something, and today I didn't really, but I want to mention something about the sky being so literal. One of my students, her name is Fran, is an asteroid junkie. I got all my students being asteroid junkies, and she went into my asteroids for me, and she found the asteroid Fama, Fama, which can indicate fame in my solar arcs, or in my solar arc transits, or maybe it was in my regular chart. She did both, transiting in such a way that it looked like I could have a splash of recognition, right? And I did. On my Substack Pluto Chronicles, I was trending in the top 100 under culture just during the time that Uranus, Venus, and Fama were all activated. So the story is not about me, but about you. I really want to encourage you to play with the minor asteroids, because the devil is in the details. And it's the kind of the funniest thing, but you can find the names of your siblings, your uncles, your aunts, your cousins, your friends, your marriage partners, the guy you're dating, and you don't know if he's for you. You can find their first name, sometimes their last name, in the 26,000 named asteroids at astro.com. And so you're dating a guy and you go like, I'm dating a Frederick. Well, you can't find Frederick, but you find Fred. Or you're dating Victoria and you find Vicky. You get to the closest names you can and you stick them in there. And so, for example, when we talk about Trump, there's an asteroid Trump, like TROAMPH, it can work. Or we talk about fame, Fama, FAM. But sometimes you find the literal name, right? The literal name, like my client with the name who channels David Bowie in the past. I know she's still doing it. Asteroid David Bowie is on her midheaven, or the sommelier with the god of wine Dionysius and Bacchus on her midheaven. Those are literal, right? Sommeliers work with wine. And I want to encourage you to go play with the minor asteroids. This is my outro, because I didn't put the minor asteroids in today's sky. That's going to be when I break it down week by week and I show you the asteroids are involved in these sky stories. Like when asteroid Requiem was involved a week before the Pope's death, I used that to predict it would likely be the Pope's death. This is where I'm a little concerned now, because we have an asteroid for funerals trending with the South Node. So I'm expecting more people dying that we would all like note that they're dead. People are in harm's way, particularly Benjamin Netanyahu, whether he's alive or not, I don't know. I mean, but he could fall from power from that Sagittarius lunation on his ascendant, more or less, that also has got the South Node on its midheaven. So I can say, there was an asteroid with the South Node for a funeral. And so I could take it more than just as a funeral for his career. It could be literally a funeral for the man. So if you don't know how to find your asteroids and you don't know what to do, in my description box below, I have the amazing asteroids course. Over 10,000 people have taken it now. It's just crazy. Downloads are taking it. It's free. You just go to my link, you click it, you get it, you play with it. It's a great course. It tells you how to do it, how to find the asteroids. I think I given them that course. I might give you an asteroid sheet that I love, and you get to learn the tool, how to use the tool on free online software at astro.com. In order to use it, you don't have to have a birth time. You could just put up your day of birth and you can see our asteroids with your sun or moon. But if you want to get even deeper, you're going to want to definitely get your rising sign birth chart cast as well. Imagine you have an asteroid on your ascendant. I have the asteroid Pythia, the Oracle of Delphi on my Jupiter, my house of earnings. I'm trying to tell you the future. Cassandra, the prophet who never gets everyone to believe her, on Neptune, the god of conspiracy theory, in my 10th house. I have Hermes, the messenger, spinning on Saturn on my ascendant. I get to know these asteroids as intimate parts of who I am. So if you want to check that out below, my intro, my extra outro is really just encouraging you to play with the minor asteroids. Alrighty, guys, have a wonderful day or a wonderful month of July. Like, subscribe, come join me in Sky Reader. I'd love to see you there. Don't forget to check out Coppertist Wu's amazing oracular pendant with the 22 major arcana on it. And because I need my glasses, which one is that? 22 symbols. Sometimes I recognize them right away. I've been playing with it for a while, but it's fun. It's good. Tells you if the card's right side up or upside down as well. I think my code for you is 15% off. It may be more, but I think it's Lori 15, but whatever it is, it's in the description box below the video. Thank you. Ciao. And the website to Coppertist Wu as well. I'll be sharing more of this jewelry and this again in other videos because this is so damn cool. So damn cool. Ciao.